I moved to a new town a few months ago. I was excited to start fresh in my small apartment on the top floor. It was just me and my work, and I thought it would be peaceful. I've never stopped thinking about how everything changed that one night. It started one evening. I was sitting at my desk, working late on a graphics project. The soft glow of my laptop lit up the dark room. I was focused when I heard a faint sound of footsteps in the hallway. I paused and listened. I figured it was just my neighbor coming home late. The footsteps came closer and stopped right outside my door. A chill ran down my spine. I thought maybe I was imagining things. I told myself it was nothing. The days passed, and things kept getting weird. I noticed the kitchen items were slightly out of place. The salt shaker was moved. So was the coffee jar. I thought maybe I was just careless. But that smell, like someone's perfume, lingered in the air. I was sure I was alone. There were no visitors. I kept my door locked. Still, the scent was there, twisting my stomach with unease. Then came the humming. It was soft at first, a quiet tune that floated through the air. I sat on my couch one night, trying to concentrate on my design work. That melody crept in and wrapped around me like a fog. I could almost make out words, but I didn't know where it came from. I stood up and walked around the apartment, searching for the source. Deep down, I thought maybe someone was inside, but I didn't see anyone. My heart raced, and just like that, the humming stopped. That night, I locked my bedroom door. It felt ridiculous, but I was anxious. I wanted to tell myself everything was fine. But it didn't help. I woke up in the dead of night to a loud noise outside my door. A clang, then a whispering. I heard footsteps pacing again. I was too scared to move, clutching my blanket. I wanted to call the police, but I didn't want to sound crazy. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe I was losing it. The next day, I found my apartment door slightly ajar. My heart hammered in my chest. I pushed it open, hands trembling. Nobody was inside. I needed to check my phone. The battery was drained. I swore I charged it before bed. Then I heard it again, a soft hum, right behind me. I turned slowly, my heart racing. The room was empty. The humming continued, pulling me in. I felt like someone, or something, was waiting for me to find them. Then it stopped. I stood there, frozen, waiting for something to happen. What was happening? I didn't know. I turned to leave, and I still don't know if I should have opened that door. The quiet hit me like a wave. Alone, but not really. Something was there. I could feel it. And now, I can't shake the thought that it's still waiting. I avoided going back to my apartment for a few days. The unease wrapped around me like a heavy blanket, suffocating. I spent my nights at a cafe, sketching ideas for my project but barely able to focus. Bright lights and the chatter of people made me feel safer. But eventually, I had to return home. I braced myself as I walked up the stairs to my floor. The hallway felt colder than usual, and the smell, faint yet familiar, hit me. It was that perfume again, and my heart dropped. I opened my door cautiously. Inside, everything appeared as I had left it. But when I stepped further in, I noticed my sketchbook was open on the table. I always closed it. I rubbed my eyes, convincing myself this was just my mind playing tricks. I tried to shake off the feeling of dread. I made myself a cup of tea, hoping the warmth would soothe my racing thoughts. As I turned to grab the cups, the humming returned. It was clearer this time, almost like a lullaby, and it sent chills down my spine. I dropped the cup as I spun around. "Hello?" I called, my voice trembling. I half expected someone to answer or pop out from behind the couch. Only the humming filled the silence. I grabbed my phone to check the time. 6 p.m. I sat back down, hoping the familiar glow of the screen would help me regain control. That's when I saw a flash of movement in the corner of my eye, lingering at the edge of the hallway. My heart felt like it might explode. I stood up, straining to see. Nothing. Just darkness. I took a shaky breath and walked closer. The humming changed slightly, as if encouraging me. I didn't want to chase shadows, but something compelled me. I stepped into the hallway. My breath caught when I saw the door of the apartment across from mine slightly ajar. I hadn't noticed it before. The humming seemed to echo from that direction, pulling at me. Against my better judgment, I knocked softly on the door. Hello? Silence. No response but the faint glow of a lamp inside. I felt ridiculous, but again, curiosity overwhelmed my fear. I pushed the door open just enough to peek inside. The room was dark, but I could see a figure, slumped over at a desk. "Excuse me?" I called out, stepping further in. As I did, the hum got louder, wrapping around me, creating an eerie ambience. Then everything went silent. The figure lifted their head, eyes wide. But before I could process the shock, the lights flickered. Shadows burst alive. My heart raced, and a sense of dread washed over me. "Who are you?" I stammered, backing away toward the door. That's when I noticed the walls lined with photos. Photos of me. My heart dropped. I stumbled backward, and just like that, the lights went out, plunging me into darkness. I held my breath in the darkness, my mind racing. Panic clawed at my throat. I was alone, or at least I thought I was. I could barely see, but I could feel the presence of the figure still in the room. The humming started again, soft, almost soothing, but I knew better. "Get out," I whispered. I needed to get out. I didn't care if it was a ghost or a stranger. I just wanted to escape. Before I could move, I heard a creak wood bending under pressure. Someone was shifting. My heart hammered in my chest as I scanned the room, but all I saw was black. I knew I had to stay quiet, to take slow, deliberate steps. I inched toward the door, my hands brushing against the walls until I felt the cold metal of the doorknob. I twisted it slowly, praying it wouldn't squeak. Then, just like that, I was caught. The humming grew louder, filling the air with an almost tangible weight. "Please, just let me go," I said, barely above a whisper. No response. Just the eerie hum, now wrapped in a sickening tension. Summoning all my courage, I shoved the door open and stumbled out into the hallway, gasping for air. The scent of that perfume cut through the musty odor of the building, and a chill ran down my spine. I could still hear the hum, now faintly behind me. I didn't stop to see if the figure would follow. I bolted down the stairs. Once outside, I paused to gather my thoughts. I needed to figure out what had just happened. I leaned against the cold brick wall, heart racing. Had I really seen photos of me? Had someone been watching me? The thought sent a jolt through my system. My phone buzzed in my pocket. It was a text from a number I didn't recognize. "You shouldn't have left." My heart sank. Who was this? Somehow knowing I wasn't safe added to the dread. I looked back at my apartment building. A single light flickered in the window of the apartment across from mine. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I was stuck, torn between fear and the need for answers. I felt a presence lurking, just out of sight. Then I remembered my sketchbook. If whatever had happened tonight was somehow connected to my project, I had to know. I took a deep breath and headed back inside, stepping cautiously up the stairs. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Each step felt heavier than the last, the hallway stretching like an eternity as I approached my door. The humming was gone, replaced now by an unsettling silence. With trembling hands, I unlocked my door and pushed it open. The room was dark, but the sketchbook lay open on the table, just as I left it. But something was different. A single photograph rested on top of the pages. It wasn't mine. I picked it up, heart racing. It was a close-up shot of me taken from a distance, right outside my cafe. My stomach turned. I backed away, the walls almost closing in on me. I had intended to confront whatever was going on, but instead, I just wanted to hide. My phone buzzed again, cutting through my spiraling thoughts. Another message from the mysterious number, "I'm close." I felt that same presence creeping back. This time, I had no choice but to confront the shadows. What were they hiding? I took another step inside, determination mingling with fear. This wasn't over yet. The moment I stepped back into the room, the air felt thick. My eyes darted around, searching every corner for any sign of movement. The photograph slipped through my fingers, fluttering to the ground like a fallen leaf, the image of me glaring back. I barely breathed, waiting for anything to happen. Then there was a noise, soft but distinct. A rustling sound came from my closet. My guts twisted into knots as I took a slow step back. I had to know, but the reality of what could be hiding in there paralyzed me. A shadow flickered in the dim light, my heart raced as I prayed it was just my imagination. "Stay calm," I whispered to myself. "You can do this." I clenched my fists, inching closer to the closet door. With a sudden burst of courage, I flung it open. Empty. Just my clothes hanging limply, swaying slightly as if they had been disturbed. I breathed a sigh of relief, but no sooner had I relaxed than I heard the unmistakable sound of a footstep just outside my door. I froze, every muscle tensed. My initial instinct was to run, but that would mean exposing myself. I leaned against the wall, my breath shallow, listening intently. The footsteps were light, almost cautious, but they were getting closer. My phone buzzed again, a third message. I reluctantly glanced at the screen. "I can see you. Turn around." My heart dropped. There was no way they could be outside my door. I couldn't risk it. I needed to act. Thinking quickly, I grabbed a chair and wedged it under the doorknob. It wasn't much, but it was all I could manage in my panic. The sound of movement stopped abruptly. I held my breath. The silence was deafening now, and I could feel the weight of someone's stare piercing through the door. In the dark, I scanned the room for an escape route. The window was my only option, but it felt foolish. Still, what choice did I have? I slowly approached it, clutching the edge tightly. Just as I was about to pull it open, I heard the doorknob rattling. I froze again, caught between desperation and terror. The person outside was trying to get in. "Please," I begged softly, "just go away." But the rattling continued, growing more frantic, grating against my nerves. Suddenly, the noise stopped. A brief moment of silence lingered as I stared at the door, praying it wouldn't burst open. My heart raced anew as I thought about the possibility of facing whoever or whatever was out there. That's when I saw it. A shadow shifted beneath the crack of the door. It was just a dark shape, but it felt like a direct threat. My instinct kicked in. If I was going to escape, now was the time. I yanked the window open and climbed out, scrambling down the fire escape. My thoughts raced as I dropped to the ground, landing awkwardly but on my feet. I briefly glanced back at the window, half expecting to see them rushing after me. But the window remained still, framed by the moonlight. As I rushed down the street, panting and terrified, another text pinged on my phone, igniting the fear once more. "When you come back, I'll be waiting." Everything inside me screamed that I had to find out who was behind this. I wanted answers, but deep down, I knew it could also lead me into more danger. And yet, I felt a strange pull to return, to confront the shadow lurking in my life. I couldn't run forever. I ran until my lungs screamed for air. The cold night enveloped me like a heavy blanket, but I didn't care. My focus was sharp, my heart racing with dread and anticipation. I darted around corners, keeping low and hidden. I couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching. After what felt like hours, I turned into an alley behind a row of houses. I pressed my back against a cool, damp wall. I pulled my phone out, my fingers trembling as I hovered over the message. "When you come back, I'll be waiting." It felt like a taunt, a bitter reminder that I could not escape this. I took a deep breath. I was out here alone again. The fear of not knowing gripped me tighter than any shadow. I contemplated calling for help, but who would believe me? I had no proof of the messages, nothing to share as evidence. No choice but to uncover the truth myself. Feeling a rising determination, I turned to the main street. My instincts pushed me to go back home. I had to face this head-on. I would find out the identity of the person tormenting me. I couldn't let them control my life. As I sprinted back towards my building, an odd stillness hung in the air. The streetlights flickered overhead, casting eerie shadows on the pavement. I stopped short when I reached the entryway. I stood for a moment, scanning for signs of movement. Everything looked still, but my heart thudded in my chest, warning me to be cautious. I crept inside, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Just as I reached my floor, I felt a chill crawling down my spine. The door to my apartment was slightly ajar. My breath caught in my throat. I hesitated, then took a step back. I had just escaped from something, and here I was, willingly walking into the lion's den. "Focus," I muttered to myself. I needed to know. Maybe this was my chance to finally confront whoever was behind the messages. I steadied my breathing and slowly pushed the door open wider. The darkness greeted me, just as I had left it. "Is anyone here?" My voice wavered, echoing in the silence. No response came. I inched further inside, scanning the room. The shadows seemed more menacing now, as if they were alive and waiting for me. That's when I noticed it. The photograph I'd dropped earlier laying on the floor, face down. I bent to pick it up, feeling a surge of dread wash over me. That's when I spotted a distinct footprint in the dust just beside my bed. My stomach dropped. Someone had been here. Then I heard it. A low, menacing sound behind me, like a breath in the dark. My heart raced, and I spun around just in time to catch a fleeting shadow darting away from the door. Panic surged through me. "Stop!" I yelled, my voice stronger than I felt. I bolted towards the door, knowing I couldn't let this person escape again. As I burst outside, I didn't see anyone. The silence swallowed me once more. But I could feel it, whoever it was, they were near. And I was about to find out just how close they were. I stopped in the doorway, heart pounding in my chest. The silence felt oppressive as I strained to hear any sound, anything that might give away their location. I had to think. Did they escape before I got outside? Or were they waiting for me to make a mistake? I stepped cautiously down the hall, glancing over my shoulder every few seconds. The hallway was dimly lit, and the flickering lights above me made it harder to concentrate. Each step amplified the sounds around me, the creaking floorboards beneath my feet, the rustle of wind outside, and my own ragged breathing. "Show yourself!" I shouted, trying to goad them out of hiding. But my voice echoed off the walls, fading into an uncomfortable stillness. I risked peeking around the corner into the stairwell, but there was nothing. Just emptiness. What was I doing? I could just call the police, but then I'd have to explain everything. The messages. The photos. The feeling of being watched. The last time I called, they brushed off my concerns as overactive imagination. I had to handle this myself. Then I heard it again, soft footsteps above me. They were in the apartment. I froze, pressing my back against the wall. The sound of movement was clear now, a dragging noise followed by a muffled thud. My instincts kicked in. I couldn't run away. Not this time. I moved as silently as possible towards the staircase, taking the steps slowly, my eyes scanning each corner for any sign of movement. I reached the second floor and stopped to listen. The footsteps had stopped too, leaving only the ache of my own pulse sounding in my ears. I crept down the hallway. At the end, I noticed my neighbor's door was slightly ajar. It was strange, considering she was usually meticulous about locking up. I approached, heart racing, peering into the darkened room. That's when I saw a flicker of light spilling from the window. I pushed the door wider and glanced inside, but her apartment was empty. The curtains fluttered slightly, as though someone had just left. Suddenly, a loud crash came from behind me, snapping my focus. I turned quickly to see the front door of my own apartment swinging shut. The air in my lungs felt frozen. Someone was definitely inside. I sprinted back, adrenaline propelling me forward. "Hey!" I yelled, desperately trying to sound brave. "Get out of my home." I reached out for the doorknob just as the sound of shuffling came from my living room. The fear ignited a fire in me, pushing me to confront whatever was there. I yanked the door open and charged into the living room. "Who are you?" I demanded, scanning the darkness. Then everything went dark. The lights flickered and then cut out. Panic surged through my body. My breath quickened as I fumbled for my phone, desperate for the light. Just as I turned it on, the shadows morphed, and I saw them. A figure standing just outside the edge of my feeble glow. My heartbeat fell into a cold, dark rhythm. I had to know who they were. But just as I took a step forward, they vanished into the dark corners of my home. And I could only wonder what they were planning next. I stood frozen, the glow of my phone illuminating only a small patch of the room, but it was enough to send shivers down my spine. The figure was gone, swallowed by the shadows. My hands trembled as I scanned for any sign of movement, alert for the slightest shift in the air. "Hello?" I called out, my voice barely above a whisper. I felt foolish for instigating something that made my stomach turn. No answer came, just the soft hum of electricity flickering dimly around me. I needed to act. I couldn't waste any more time wondering. Determined, I moved cautiously toward the couch, knowing the layout of my own home like the back of my hand. I had to be careful. My heart was hammering away, making it harder to focus. Each shadow seemed to twitch, every creak in the floorboards amplifying my anxiety. Were they still here? Just as I reached the edge of the couch, the sound of a rustle came from my bedroom. I froze again. The bedroom door was ajar, but something about it felt different now. I had left it closed. Someone was in there. A chill swept through me, the adrenaline pushing me to grip my phone tighter. I couldn't wait any longer. I took a step toward the bedroom, phone lighting the path ahead. With each stride, I steeled myself for whatever I might find. I had to be ready. When I reached the door, I gulped and took a deep breath before pushing it open. The room was dark. I shone my phone around the space, illuminating the faint outline of my bed, the closet door slightly ajar. The shadows in the corner shifted, and I felt my pulse quicken again. I was about to turn back when I caught sight of something on the carpet. It was a small, crumpled piece of paper. My heart lurched as I bent down to pick it up. The handwriting was hasty, scratchy, and barely legible. My breath caught in my throat as I read the words, "I know your secret." Panic surged through me. Whoever had been here knew more than they should. I felt exposed, vulnerable, as if they could see through every layer of my life. I quickly stepped back, glancing over my shoulder, but there was still no movement behind me. Every option seemed unbearable. I could call for help, but what if they were monitoring my phone? I couldn't risk it. I had to think. Was it possible they had already left? Or were they still lurking, waiting for me to turn my back? Before I could formulate a plan, I heard it again, the faint sound of footsteps, this time coming from the hallway. A chill washed over me. I turned my head toward the sound, feeling the adrenaline spike as I urgently scanned for an escape route. That's when I heard a door creak open, the front door. They were leaving. Maybe I wasn't too late. I dashed toward the living room, ready to confront whoever had violated my space. The door swung wider, and in an instant, I was met by a figure I had never expected to see. I stood there, stuck in disbelief as they stepped into view. The last thing I anticipated was this unexpected reunion. The figure slowly emerged from the shadows, and my breath caught in my throat. It was my long-lost brother, Jamie. The warmth I felt in my chest was quickly overshadowed by confusion and fear. I hadn't seen him in years. Why was he here? Jamie? My voice cracked. Is that really you? He looked different, thinner and worn, as if he had been through something drastic. He stepped closer, the unease radiating off him like a tangible aura. I had to come, he said, his eyes darting around the room, searching for something I couldn't see. What do you mean you had to come? You scared me. I thought I cut myself off, the memory of the footsteps suddenly back in focus. Were you in my house? Were you the one hiding here? He took a deep breath, clearly trying to collect his thoughts. It's not safe, he said urgently. They're looking for me. Who? The question slipped out before I could even process it. Fear clawed at my insides as I thought about those hasty words on the piece of paper. Did Jamie's arrival have anything to do with that note? I tightened my grip on my phone, my only source of light. I can't explain everything right now, he said, glancing nervously at the front door. We have to get out of here. They might still be watching. Who? I pressed, growing frantic. I'll tell you later. His tone was sharp, his eyes pleading. Please, just trust me. He looked so pained, like he was carrying a heavy weight. Against my better judgment, I stepped aside. Okay, but first tell me what's going on. No time. He urged, glancing outside as if he expected someone to appear any moment. We can talk in the car. I hesitated. My instincts screamed at me to run, to get away from him, but the need to understand was overpowering. Fine. We hurried out the door, Jamie quickly leading the way down the path to my old sedan. As we reached the car, a flicker in the corner of my eye made me pause. I turned back toward the house, my heart racing again. Had I seen movement in the window? Now! Jamie hissed, tugging me. Just then, I felt a rush of cool air, and the hair on my neck prickled. Just as I was about to jump into the passenger seat, the sound of shuffling footsteps echoed through my yard. Jamie froze. They're here. I barely had time to process his words before it hit me that I wasn't just running from someone, I was running towards something unknown. I had to make a choice. Do I confront this threat or jump into the chaos that was my brother's reappearance? The panic consumed me, leaving one thought resonating like a drum in my mind: this would not end well. I never got the chance to answer my own question. Jamie grabbed my wrist and yanked me toward the car. His grip was tight, but a part of me still questioned if I could trust him. I glanced back at the house, the dark windows stared back like hollow eyes. Get in! Jamie demanded, urgency spilling from each word. I stumbled into the car, my heart racing as I fumbled with the seatbelt. He slid into the driver's seat, and before I knew it, the engine roared to life. As he peeled out of the driveway, I caught one last glimpse of my house. The windows felt like they were watching me, and the shadows loomed larger in the rearview mirror. Where are we going? I asked, my voice barely louder than a whisper. Just drive, he muttered, keeping his eyes fixed on the road. I saw a flicker of fear cross his face, and I knew there was more to this than he let on. Everything felt wrong. I glanced at him, and the expression on his face sent chills down my spine. He was a stranger who had taken residence in my brother's form. The Jamie I remembered was carefree and full of life, not this wearied shadow. "Jamie, please, what is going on? Who's after you?" I pressed again, needing answers. He sighed, gripping the steering wheel tighter as we merged onto the main road. "I can't tell you everything right now. I wish I could, but it's complicated." "Complicated? You've been gone forever, and now you say it's not safe? You can't just drop this on me." I felt the anger bubbling up, but it quickly faded to anxiety. His eyes darted to the side mirror nervously. "I'm sorry," he murmured. "I didn't want to drag you into this. But they know I'm back. You just have to trust me." "Trust you? You've been absent for years. Why should I trust you now, especially when you appear out of nowhere like this?" Doubt gnawed at me. I thought of my safety. I thought of the note. They're not just looking for me. You're a target too. They'll do anything to find us. His voice shook, and my heart dropped. "What do you mean us?" I asked, confusion swirling around me like a storm. "I'm just a regular person. Why would anyone come after me?" "We need to find a place to lay low," he said, ignoring my question. "I know somewhere safe." Before I could respond, a car sped up behind us, its headlights beaming like daggers into the night. My stomach turned as it was getting closer. It felt intentional. "Jamie, that car!" He slammed on the brakes, coming to an abrupt stop in the middle of the road. I gasped as the car tailgating us swerved. My pulse hammered in my ears as the vehicle shot past us, a blur in the darkness. Jamie didn't move. He was staring straight ahead, his face pale and his eyes wide. The moment felt frozen in time. Then he turned to me with a look of horrified realization. "They're close. We need to go now." At that instant, a figure appeared in the rearview mirror, a shadow sprinting toward us. Panic surged, and I couldn't breathe. I didn't know who it was or if they were friend or foe, but I knew one thing: I had to make a decision. "Drive!" I screamed, the urgency rushing through my veins. But in that moment, I realized this wasn't just about Jamie anymore. It was about survival. And together, we had a lot to escape from. As we sped down the darkened road, the landscape whizzing past and the figure behind us growing further away, I felt a mixture of relief and dread. Jamie's explanation remained elusive, hanging in the air like smoke, and every unanswered question weighed heavily on my thoughts. The car's engine roared as Jamie navigated narrow country roads, twisting and turning through the dim expanse. I tried to piece together the jigsaw puzzle that was my life: the mysterious messages, the lingering shadows, the photograph just left on my floor. It all converged here. What kind of danger had Jamie brought with him? "Where are we going?" I finally asked again, my voice strained with concern. "There's a cabin I know hidden away from prying eyes," he said, his focus unwavering on the road ahead. "We can lay low until we figure things out." "Things?" I reiterated with frustration. "What things? Just tell me what's happening." He glanced at me, his jaw set tight, but this time, I saw a glint of something: fear, perhaps? "They follow me," he replied. "I didn't think they would find you as well. It's like they can sense when I'm close." The realization struck me like ice water. "So whatever is happening, is it because of you?" My heart beat faster, anger and fear swirling together. "I don't know how to explain it," Jamie said, his voice trembling. "It's complicated." Frustration coursed through my veins like wildfire. Who was this person sitting beside me, and what had he been involved in? I struggled to reconcile this stranger with the boy I once knew, the one who made me laugh, who was my ultimate protector. I turned to look back through the rear window. Nothing, just an empty road. A chill swept through the car. I felt like we were being chased by more than just physical threats. Something intangible lurked just at the edge of my mind, whispering fears I couldn't articulate. Jamie, you left so suddenly. Why didn't you ever call? Why didn't you come back? He hesitated, fear flashing across his face, but then a darkness settled over his features. You wouldn't understand. I thought you were better off without me, free from what I got involved in. What could be so terrible that you thought I'd be safer alone? I can't say. His voice cracked, a tone heavier than words could convey. But we need to survive tonight, and that's all I can promise right now. My gaze shifted to the moonlit road stretching out in front of us. I had lost track of time, and I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was watching us. Minutes turned to what felt like an eternity, and finally, we curved into a clearing where towering trees bordered an old cabin, its dark silhouette standing stark against the starlit sky. Here it is, Jamie murmured, parking the car hastily. As we both exited, he grabbed my arm. Stay close. The cabin's door creaked open as he led the way inside, revealing a space filled with dust motes dancing in the filtered moonlight. Faded photos adorned the walls, some had us in them, moments frozen in laughter, but others held faces I didn't recognize, their eyes seeming to follow us. A shiver of unease washed over me. You came back, but I still don't understand, I said, my voice slightly trembling. What have we drawn in? What secrets are buried here? They'll come for us, Jamie said, pacing restlessly. I never thought they knew about you. They could be tracking us at this very moment. What about those messages? What about everything that happened in my apartment? That's what I need to find out. Jamie's voice was urgent, a mix of desperation and dread. Suddenly, there was a sound, a creak from outside. My heart raced. Did you hear that? Yes, he whispered, his breath quickening. We need to stay quiet. I felt my heart hammering against my chest, and Jamie's panic was infectious. The cabin felt like it was holding its breath, and a chill crept through me. Could I really trust him? The question gnawed at me, unresolved. I needed to understand what he had gotten himself into and how it was now consuming my life. The sound grew louder, a series of footsteps, almost rhythmic. Jamie and I exchanged silent glances, each of our breaths hanging suspended in the air. I wanted to scream. I wanted to confront whatever was out there. But as the door rattled from the force of something outside, I was frozen in anticipation. Jamie's expression mirrored mine, fear mingled with an anxious hope. The ultimate truth loomed over us. Whatever was out there, whatever had possessed our lives, would soon be revealed. And in that moment, standing on the precipice between the known and the unknown, ambivalence reigned. I wasn't just running from something, I was stepping into the very heart of a mystery that had yet to be unraveled. What awaited on the other side of that door was still unknown. It could be a monster or a savior or both.